Okay, well, hello everybody. How you doing? It's about a quarter of one on Wednesday, the 13th. Got cold here in DC. Actually, I live about 20 miles from Pennsylvania. It was snowing the other day. A little bit of snow, nothing too terrible. So let's deal with the housekeeping stuff first. Now, if you recall in the last video lecture, and I think I sent out an announcement, I wanted to get some feedback from the students, from you all, about if you wanted to have 5 quizzes as it states on our syllabus, or just have 4 quizzes to make everybody's life a little bit easier. It's no surprise that every single person said that they just wanted to have 4. I didn't get everyone's response. I probably have at least half of the class, probably a little more than half the class. And everyone said, yes, just let's have 4 and be done with it. So that's probably what we'll do, unless someone really has their heart set on having 5 quizzes. And then since, our syllabus is our contract, so to speak, we would have 5. But barring that, if I don't hear with anybody within 24 hours, so right now it's the 13th, a little before 1, so by Thursday the 14th, let me know if you have a problem with that. Otherwise, we'll just go with 4 quizzes. Now, what I'm going to do for the quizzes, let me just pull up here. I'm going through the file section to see what I've got uploaded in here. Let's go to the chapters. Okay, so what I will be doing is I did some research on ethical dilemmas that rehabilitation counselors face, and another one comparing ethical dilemmas in the private or for-profit and then the public sector. So what I'm thinking about doing is probably putting up an article or 2, have you read these articles, and then just have one big quiz question that will be like a super DQ, if you will. And that's what I'm going to probably be doing for quiz 4, and that will be the last quiz. Now, as far as my homework assignment is I graded all, let me just pull up the grade book. I graded all of everything that I have except for, give my computer 1 second here, except for the community resource paper. So all the DQs and quizzes, I know that quiz 3 is not due yet, but it looks like about half of the people have gotten in. Looks like a lot of people are working on DQ 11. So the community resource paper is going to be my next homework assignment, and I'll probably be grading those, let's see, Wednesday, not today, probably Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So by this weekend, you should start seeing grades for the community resource paper in there. And then we're kind of like on the downward slope. After everyone knocks out DQ 11, then we'll have 12. And if I recall, discussion 13 will be basically multicultural. So 12 deals with ethical case management, 13 deals with multicultural, and that's pretty much going to wrap it up for the discussion questions. So now let's talk about some things that are on the horizon. I know that a lot of people have been asking for a sample case management paper. It's in the files section. If you scroll down there, you'll find a model. That should pretty much help you in doing that assignment. It's going to be a large assignment. It's going to take a while to write it up. It's approximately 20-25 pages as it states on the syllabus. And then as part of this, you'll have like a presentation. Normally in class, we actually have, if it's an on-campus class, we'll have the people get up in front of class and do their presentations. And, some people, it's no big deal. Other people, it's a little anxiety-provoking. But the point is, you guys are going to be leaders in the future, and you need to get up and speak in front of people. Since this is an online course, we're kind of precluded that we really can't do that. But what we'll do is after you knock out the case management paper, which is a big, comprehensive assignment, then the presentation will just flow from that with like nothing. You'll have like maybe 10 PowerPoint slides, and you'll just upload that into Blackboard. So you'll basically get 2 birds with 1 stone. You'll have your big paper that you're going to spend a lot of time writing. And then once you do that, the presentation is actually really pretty easy. Now, deviation, so if we only have 4 quizzes, they're 10 points each, then it'll be 40. So we'll go from a grand total of 350 to 340. Like we just talked about, the case management paper, that's the big chunk. That's worth 100 points right there. If you think of all the DQs for the whole semester, that's 13 times 10, 130. So the case management paper is really going to be important. I hope you spend at least 2 weeks minimum probably putting this thing together. And then the presentation should be pretty easy from that. I'm trying to think if there's any other housekeeping stuff that I need to talk about. No, I think that's it. So let's talk about ethics. Now, in every course, they should be covering ethics, and it's very important, obviously, just to even maintain your practice. If you don't act as an ethical counselor, your license or your certifications or your employment can be terminated or revoked. For us, the CRCC, the Certified Rehabilitation Counselor Code of Ethics, that's probably going to be your main one. But for me, I have the CRCC Code of Ethics. I'm a licensed clinical professional counselor in Maryland, so I have that Code of Ethics. I'm also a diplomat in the American Board of Vocational Experts, so I have that Code of Ethics. So for me, I have at least 3 codes of ethics that I follow. And the bottom line is that we want to protect our clients, consumers, or individuals we work with from harm, maximizing their benefits, making sure that we are fair and objective and honest, and honoring the commitments that we make. If we say, okay, we're going to see you next week, or I'm going to meet you at the interview, or I'm going to help you get a job, or I'm going to set you up with Dr. X, or get you a prescription, or whatever, then we need to follow through on that, because if we don't, then our clients or consumers are going to lose focus and trust and rapport with us and so on. Now, 5 main ethical principles that we discuss in the textbook is autonomy. Basically, it's freedom of choice. They have the right to work with us or not work with us. That's their call. It's their life. What they want to do that's up to them. Then non-malfeasance. This is kind of like the Hippocratic Oath. Do no harm. We don't want to do anything that's going to, take away their life, liberty, challenge their physical or psychological well-being, and so on. Now, beneficence, so this is basically duty to assist others. Many times since we are here in the helping occupation, that's probably like in our DNA, in our blood. And furthermore, if we would take some personality testing, we would probably have a social as one of the first one if we're talking Holland codes and congruence and so on. The 4th main principle is justice. Basically this means allocating resources in a fair way. We can't give all of our money just to one client and let the other ones flounder. We need to kind of spread it around and be equal and, try to treat everyone individually and equally and so on. And then fidelity. This really, bottom line, is keeping your promises. Showing up for appointments, helping them with whatever challenges or modifying the work environment or getting them, training or clothes or medications or surgery or who knows what, or maybe advocating on behalf of them for their employers. Get maybe a part-time schedule or do a job analysis, who knows. This all leads to ethical case management decisions, because sometimes there might be some challenges that you face when you're working with individuals. Essentially, the simplest way to think about it is when you come to an ethical dilemma, there's going to be 2 roads or 2 choices that you can make. There's going to be consequences with choice A or choice B, or road number 1 or road number 2. We try to evaluate the course of action and see which one is best for them. There's many different ethical decision-making models. They usually vary from 5 to 10 or 11 different steps that you go through. But really what they come down to is, let's support the client or the consumer's vocational objective. Let's collaboratively plan for that. If they're interested in training, then we need to evaluate where we're going to get the most return on our investment, making sure that it's appropriate for them, that they can get there, that's not too far away, that's within their cognitive and intellectual capacity and so on. Supporting their choices, because sometimes your clients/consumers might make choices that you maybe don't feel are the best choices. And we should explain our role, our rationale, why we recommend A and B and not X and Y and Z. Confidentiality. Now, this is one that varies tremendously from public and private and forensic. In the forensic world, there is no confidentiality. In the public sector, confidentiality is king. So, the consumers would be covered by HIPAA and the agency's rules and regulations and so on. Private is kind of in the middle, depending on the funding source and type of case. Like, for example, if it's workers' compensation, then guess what? That doctor wants their bill paid, so the report is sent to the employer, and they get a copy of it. So you can see the ethical dilemmas, and that's one of the things we'll do for this quiz is we're going to look at the ethical dilemmas between public and private because they are different. There's different clients, there's different rules, there's different resources, and so on that we'll get into. Obviously, you're going to have to follow your agency's guidelines, procedures, and things of that nature. Keeping good records. We've talked about this in many other lectures that, you don't want to put off your case management documentation because it snowballs and it just, gets out of control. So there are different code of ethics. I mentioned 3 at the beginning, CRCC, the state that you might be licensed in. Mine is the third one is the American Board of Vocational Experts. There's different sections in the code of ethics that will cover, all different kinds of things, ranging from client confidentiality to third-party billing and so on. There's some good ethical decision-making process examples in here. I think they had, 6, 7. Yeah, there's 7 different ethical examples. Read through there. You'll get a sense for some of the things that you may or may not face in the future. Now, sometimes the ethical code, it's more like a guideline, so it's not going to be every single thing that you come across in this world is going to say, okay, if X happens, then you do Y. No, it's not like that. It's more of a broad, grayish, comprehensive, and you really need to think about all the details of whatever's going on with your consumer/client, and some of the things to think about. Let's describe the parameters of the situation. What are the issues involved? Are they legal, medical, psychological, employment? Who knows? What guidelines are available? They could be the state's laws, your agency regulations, code of practice, research, and so on. Then let's have some alternatives, A, B, or C. What's the pros and cons of each one of these alternatives? Let's look at the short and the long-term consequences of making a decision. If we go, down this road, or if we go down that road, what's going to happen for long and short term? Evidence. You can tell I'm from the private sector, so evidence is really, really important. You might also want to prioritize or rank, what's really important for this person. In the book, they talk about a 6-step ethical decision-making model. There's many different steps. Again, they can range from 5 or 6 to maybe 10 or 11, depending on the model that you're using. But they all have some things in common. Like, let's review the facts of the case or the situation and figure out 2 courses of action. What are the reasons why we support choice A or choice B? What are the supporting things for if we go A or B? For example, if we go route A, what principles are guiding me, laws, regulations, and so on? Then, on the other side of the coin, why wouldn't we do choice A or B? What would be the cons, in other words? Then we get to justifying, our course of action. Now, sometimes you might want to talk to your supervisors, maybe professors, colleagues, people that have been around for a while and have the clinical experience, and maybe they've been in the exact same predicament that you're in now. And then, let's support our decision and move forward with it, and so on. And I would add another one is let's document why we made our decision and the supporting reasons why, the licensure, the code of ethics, the rules of the agency, and so on. Now, sometimes with electronic communication, there's emerging things that are happening. For example, some of the veterans that I work with, now I don't have a client-counsel relationship with them. I'm just evaluating them. Now, there's 2 different flavors. Now, on one hand, I see veterans here pro bono in D.C. at George Washington University. So, I'm covered by the state of Maryland and D.C. But when I have veterans around the United States and some types international, I'm just doing an evaluation. So the point is, with electronics and how technology like Skype or FaceTime or what have you, we have to have these ethical guidelines and rules and things catch up with the technology to some degree. Multicultural, that's going to be the next chapter we jump into. But, always never, ever, ever ignore the multicultural variable, because that's a big chunk of who your person is, how they might make decisions, their values, their interests, and so on. So we really should strive to give the same level of service to all of our clients and consumers, regardless of race, gender, age, sexual orientation, SES. I mean, just keep going on and on and on. Treat everyone the same, essentially. And that's pretty much it for the chapter. So we will be having only 4 quizzes, as we mentioned at the beginning of this lecture. It's going to, I'm going to look at the research that I have and put up 1 or perhaps 2 articles on ethical dilemmas, and then you will review the articles and then write up a super DQ, probably like 4 or 5 paragraphs, and I'll probably give you more than a week to do it. I know we have the 1 quiz that's open now, quiz number 3, I think we said would be open until this weekend. I'll have to double check, but whatever it says in Blackboard, that's what it is. So for this next one, maybe what I'll try to do is, if it wraps up this weekend, maybe give you 2 weeks to knock out the quiz or something like that to give you a little extra time. And then the case management paper, don't let that slide. Don't put that off to the last minute, because that's going to be a big assignment that's going to take time. And as we mentioned, the presentation will just flow. Once you do your case management paper, it will probably be a problem just only cutting and pasting into 10 slides. So I'm trying to think if there's anything else we need to talk about. I'm just pleased with the work that everyone's doing. I mean, I hope you're enjoying our course. Hopefully you enjoy these video lectures. Probably in a few weeks, GW will be sending out the student evaluation of our course. I try to work as hard as I can and give you the best quality course possible. If you like the video lectures, perhaps you might want to, at the end of the survey, the last 5 questions are about the professor, how did I do? But then there's an open-ended questions. You might want to mention in there that the video lectures were helpful, if they were, or if you didn't like them, I hated the video lectures, that's up to you. But do please complete the GW student eval for me when that comes out, probably in about 2 weeks or so. So long story short, let's just stay on track, keep up the good work, and if you guys need something, please let me know, and either Jenny or myself will be happy to help. Take care and have a great week. Bye.